Miss Danreael here, and I have a word for you. Grow up. Yes, some of us, we will not grow up. We have arrested development. The Most High God wants you to grow up. So look, the verse for this video is 1 Corinthians 13:11, and it reads, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child, but when I grew up, I put away childish things." Yes. Oh, Jesus. Some of us, God is telling us to grow up. Once we grow up, then we will have all of the things that we desire. Because there's so many people that they want all of these things. Like, they want to be a good man, they want to be a good woman, they want to have a family, they want to have success, like, but because they lack the ability and the maturity, God will not give them those blessings that they are desiring. It's so important that you grow up, because that's when your blessings will start to hit. When you become spiritually mature, when you become, all that you're supposed to be, that is when God will begin to use you. And when he begins to use you and you begin to glorify his name and you begin to, work for his kingdom, then you're going to have all those blessings that you thought you could never have. They're right there. You just have to grow up. It says, "When I was a child, I spoke like a child." Some of us, we are still speaking like children. We're still being childish. We're still having an uncontrollable tongue. We're still talking crazy to people. We're still popping off every time someone says something to us. We're still, talking about old things, childish things, things that don't really serve us. It's so much power in what you say. It's so much power in the things that you think. The Most High God wants you to mature, because once you become mature, a lot of the things that, have you up in norms right now, you will no longer feel that way. You will be like, oh, it'll just, roll off your back when someone, tries to tip you off or, trigger you. It says, "I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child." Again, your mind is a place that only you and the Most High God can, see what's going on in there. It's so important that you keep hold of your mental health, and if you need therapy, go to therapy. If you need to go to church, go to church. If you need to pray, pray. If you need to fast, fast. Because mental health is something that you have to take care of, that side of things. There's people in my family, they lost their mental health and they began to, do drugs, and they're strung out on drugs. There's people I know who they have been going through, a tough situation in life, and they let their mental health get out of control. That's something that you got to keep a grip on. You got to keep your mind. You got to stay in your right mind, because there's so many people, they're not in their right mind no more. And this may be because of like a disease, like, they may get dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. But a lot of time it's because people let their mental health go. There's so many celebrities that we see in this day and age where they seem like they lost their mind. It's because they didn't get the proper help that they needed, and they didn't, maintain their mind. You have to maintain your mind. And if anybody is playing tricks on you in your mind, or, making you feel crazy, or if you're in a situation that is too stressful, you got to get out of that situation, because if it ain't nothing that you got to keep in this life, you got to keep your sanity. You got to keep your mind. So, and then it says, "When I became a man, I gave up childish ways." There's so many people, like I said, they're grown. Your body's old. You a man, but you a little boy in your body. Or you a woman, but you a little girl in your body. It says, "When I became a man, I gave up childish ways." I said in another video, God is making our bodies age. Like, each year we're getting older because he wants us to grow up. Recently, someone who from my past, they, reached out to me saying that they wanted to, me to give them another chance. And I'm like, oh, let me think about it. And I started to, talk to the person. Of course, this is just words. I haven't, been around them. So the words was seeming nice. I'm like, oh, you grew up. You really, changing and doing better. Lo and behold, when I get in your presence, the same childish ways, the same things that made me depart. So it's like people, they want to grow up, but sometimes they just not there yet. Or like I said, you may have a vision of your life of what you want to be and what you want, but you really have to do the work to get there. And once you begin to, grow up and become that man or woman, God wants you to put away your childish ways. He wants you to let go of things that, you used to do, things that don't serve you. Because a lot of the things that we did in our childhood, in our teenage life, they're not things that God wants us to do. Some of us, we were living a life of sin. We was in the streets. We was living lives of sexual immorality. We was, stealing, robbing. We was lying. We was cheating. We was running game. We was gambling. We was doing things that, God does not want us to do. He wants you to put those things behind you and come into the light. You feel me? Come into his kingdom. Be the man or woman that God called you to be. It says, when I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. Again, what you're talking about, what you're thinking, and the type of thing that you have going on in your life, it matters. God wants you to be, an adult. He wants you to be an adult. He wants you to know that it's okay to grow up. It's okay to, let go of childish things. Some of us, we think if we let go of childish things that, we're going to lose a part of ourselves. It's so many adults who I be seeing, like I said, they still like the things they liked as a kid. It's okay to let go of things. It's okay to, have a old life. It's okay to grow. It's okay to develop. It's okay to mature. It's okay to be humble. It's okay to, get along with other people. It's so important that you do these things, because once you begin to grow up, like I said, God will begin to use you. If you are still being childish, he may not be able to trust you with the multitude of blessings and the responsibilities on your assignment, because he wants people that he can trust. He wants people who he know that if somebody says something crazy to him, or they say something crazy about the Lord or Jesus Christ, he wants to know that you're going to be able to handle that in a mature manner. Because some of us, we can't handle things. We can't cope. We don't have coping skills. So God has not given us that, authority and the blessing that he wants to give us, because we got to learn how to cope. We got to learn how to watch our mouths. We got to learn how to not be triggered by other people. We have to learn self-control. We have to begin to walk into the fruits of the Spirit. It's this other person who I know, strong individual, strong, like their presence when they walk in the room, it makes you look at them like, whoa, who is that? They lack self-control though. This person, I know God wants to use them. This person is going through a rough time in their life, and they may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I know for a fact that this is a kingdom person. And it's just like, sometimes, like, we can see stuff in other people that they can't see in themselves. And it's important that if you see something in someone, to tell them like, yo, you're powerful. You got to use that for God and glorifying God and his kingdom. You can't be using that for Satan's kingdom. You feel me? You have to tell people, like, if you see something in somebody, I want to challenge you to let them know, like, hey, you're dope, or hey, I see something in you. You're different. Because sometimes we can't see it in ourselves, but other people can see it in us. So yeah, this person, like I said, they're powerful being. They know the Lord, but it's the things that they choose to do. Are they willing to grow up? Are they willing to see what other people see in them? Are they willing to, exercise self-control? That's something that you always have to ask yourself. And mind you, self-control comes with maturity. It's not something the child has. Children don't have self-control. A lot of times they are out of control. You feel me? They have to constantly be checked. The Most High God wants to stop having to constantly check you. He wants you to be able to do some stuff on your own this year. So begin to grow up, begin to mature, begin to develop, begin to overcome the things that have you in bondage or hostage, or things that have a stronghold on you. Begin to fast. Fasting will break off a lot of these things that you may be struggling with. And also remember, always stay prayed up, because the enemy is at work. He wants to kill, steal, and destroy. The enemy works through people. The enemy will come after you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And it's just so important to stay close to the Most High God, because he got your back and he wants you to do and become all that you're supposed to be. So look, I pray that this message blessed you. I love you. God bless you. And I'll see you next time.